I call the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee meeting of May 5th, 2023 to order. Just think, would you call the roll?
Mr. D. Yes. Ms. Bodie.
Present.
Ms. Casper.
Here.
Mr. Connor.
Here.
Schaefer.
Here.
Aguilar.
Here.
Mr. Card. Here. Mr. Moore. Mr. Vogel. And Mr. Zink is here.
Thank you. I am looking for an approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion? So moved. Thank you, Kelly. Have a second? Second. Thank you, Julie. Just call the roll.
Ms. Casper.
Yes.
Schaefer.
Here. Or yes, sorry.
Mr. D. Ms. Bodie.
Yes.
Mr. Connor.
Yes.
Ms. Aguilar.
Here.
Mr. Card. Here. Ms. Moore.
Yes.
Mr. Zink. Yes.
I think the meetings are going to run.
You all are.
Meetings. All right, let's move to number 3, approval of the minutes for the December 5th, 2022 meeting. It's our last meeting. Is there a motion? Thank you, Isaac. Is there a second?
A second to approve the minutes of the December 5th, 2022 meeting.
Thank you, Darby. Please call the roll.
Mr. D. Ms. Bodie.
Yes.
Ms. Casper.
Yes.
Mr. Connor.
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer.
Yes.
Aguilar.
Yes.
Mr. Card. Yes. Ms. Moore. Mr. Zink. Yes.
Mr. Kern. Review.
I only have a couple things, and I'll have something at the end as well. But one thing, some of you may have heard, I will be leaving the district starting August 1 of this year. So very bittersweet, but it's a great opportunity. I don't know what will happen to my position here, senior director, but I do want to say that these two ladies here, they have it. They are very capable. They do the work. Okay, I do a lot of ombudsman work, and they do a lot of the diversity work, and they're in there and they're with the people. And I'm more with the kids or with the staff and things of that nature. So I just wanted to say that this work is needed. It is important, and these two ladies are great at it, and they have a heart for it. So that needs to keep taking place. Another thing would be we had talked about 2 years ago about starting a community committee to have conversations around DEI and other things. And it would be a very diverse committee of different people of all walks of life. Our district is very, very diverse. We have people of all walks of life, people that think different and can have real conversations about these things. In my experiences in life, 53 years, people sit down and have conversations, and even though they don't agree, it makes things better. And we don't do that enough, and it needs to happen. I feel like I do it a lot out and about in the community, and I do it with teachers, and I do it with kids. But I think as adults, we don't do that. We disagree and we dig our heels in on things, and that needs to stop for the betterment of our kids. I said this last time I was here. I think it was December 5th, you said, and I'll say it again. If you're not here for our kids, please leave. I'm tired of it. I have raised my kids here. 2 have graduated and one's a freshman. It has been a great place. We moved here for Lakota. We moved here because of the great reputation of Lakota. I was working at Princeton at the time, but we moved here. And unfortunately, I have had, we're trying to hire people and do things, and I call former students of Lakota. And I say, hey, man, hey, young lady, or hey, my man, come on back and teach with us. They're teaching other places, graduating. And I've talked to 4 kids in the last 2-3 since first year, since I got back from surgery, pretty much. And every one of them to some point said this: Mr. Card, we love you. Would you come to Lakota and teach right now? And it broke my heart. These are our kids that were with me at Lakota West that I love. And I'm gonna say point blank period. We used to be a model district, and now people are calling me from all over the state and all over the region laughing at us. And something needs to change. I love this place. I decided to raise my kids here. I built my house here in 2003, and it breaks my heart. So that's all I gotta say. I'm gonna let the ladies have the rest, and I'll answer any questions as time goes. But it needed to be said, so I'm saying it. And you want to talk later, we can talk later.
Thank you, Mr. Hurd. Commissioners.
So, so I just wanted to comment on the champions. We had a great year this year. Since COVID, we've been kind of off track. We weren't able to meet in person, but now we are. We've had a book study this year around good conversation. And we attended the naturalization ceremony and the champions absolutely loved it. It was the coolest thing that we've pretty much done. And now we're going to do more of that stuff. And I want to talk about the growth of my champions. We started out, this is the 8th year in this position. Started out with 24 people. And now I can't stop getting people. I'm up to 53 because these teachers see that we need to care for the kids and they want to be part of diversity and they want to make sure everybody is treated fairly and equal. So I think it says something if you go from 24 to 53 just because of what's going on. So we have a lot of great teachers out there and I'm happy to have, and I'm sure we'll have more as time goes on.
I have a whole spew of stuff. You know, I always do. Probably first, a little bit of an update based on you looking at the last minutes. At the time that with ESL Connect, we've done about 400 students. At this point now, we've done 614. And that is, of that 614, 289 are individual student families and then their siblings. So we have connected with, 289 of our Spanish and Arabic speaking families. Some of our other translation needs have to come through a translation company. And so Uzbeki and Nepalese are 2 of our higher need translator services to be able to finish our ESL Connect.
Say that again.
Uzbeki and Nepalese.
Thank you.
And so one of the things that Mrs. Melzer and I are working on, that she's the director of our federal programs, is to be able to set up with the translation company to have those translators be who I start off with. We'll be able to start working on final forms in June, but I'm going to wait until July so that then everything rolls over, so that then we're starting fresh with everything that they might need for the upcoming school year, but starting with those families that I wasn't able to connect with this year, to begin that learning process of how to get in and be able to understand that. The other thing that kind of goes along with the final forms that was mentioned in the minutes as well was our impact on our free and reduced applications. And first, that is not to say that a student that is an ESL student is a student with a financial need either. That's not the illustration or anything like that. What that is, though, is an opportunity for connecting with families that may have a language barrier, that then also don't have that technology understanding. So with that, we've done 332 families with lunch fees, and we've done, with lunch applications, and 375 with the fee waivers. And the reason this is important is that if we have a point where we are going to have to start doing school fees again for families, then they already are positioned to be able to the district is be able to be reimbursed by the state for what that looks like in covering our students. And so again, making sure that we are giving every opportunity to our families regardless of language.
Can I ask?
Sure.
On that? Do you feel, Leah, like, that we lost people in the shuffle of federal government taking away the free reduced breakfast and lunch? Missed the form. Do you feel like those people have all caught up? I guess.
I would say a majority have. I am sure that there are some that we have missed.
Okay.
But I will say that when you look at our percentage rate, we are much closer to probably an actual percentage rate for our district than we ever have been, because of the gift of final forms.
Okay.
Because it's in there, because with ESL Connect, we've had the opportunity to ask that question again and help them understand what that is. Then I think that that's something that really shows the difference of where we are. Previously, we were probably somewhere in the 17-18%, and we're somewhere in the 22 to 23% now, and our enrollment didn't shift enough in numbers to cover that difference. So I think that we're much closer to accurate than we've ever been.
If you take a moment for those that are listening to explain what final forms are.
So for our district, final forms previously was something that students in high school that were doing sports, then they did that to be able to cover the athletic medical requirements and things like that to be able to do. This year, the Welcome Center put all of the forms that a family would need to do to not only enroll in the district, but then also that whole stack of papers that you got at the beginning of the school year. Is your emergency medical up to date? Are your contacts correct? Phone numbers, addresses, all of that is now part of final forms. So when a family goes in, it's already populated with all of their enrollment information that had been there. And it's the opportunity to, oh, wait, I changed that cell number. Or, you know what, I was living in an apartment, but now I'm at the house. I have to come to the enrollment center and give my change of address, to all of our permissions to be able to utilize computer and technology, the responsibility of having a Chromebook come home. Also on there is all of our parents fully understanding with that language base of what FERPA is and what the PERPA is. So having those forms and being able to make sure that they understand how we protect students' information and things like that is all part of it too.
And it's available in other languages, it should be.
So it is available in other languages if you understand the technology to be able to get into it and do it. And that's part of what we've been doing, is trying to help move our families forward. And so, yes, ultimate goal. Next thing on here, kind of talking some of our partnership success. Probably one of our biggest partnership successes, I think, is our connection with Midpoint Library. Midpoint Library was key in our Martin Luther King Day, and the idea that they printed out our students. The prompt for the committee was unsung heroes of Martin Luther King. And so our kids researched that. And when they did the march, then they had the posters, not only of the Martin Luther King information, but also of who their unsung hero was that they were carrying, and the information of why that person was. They have started doing a bilingual story time at Midpoint Library, which again helps connect that early literacy to our families, and really helping celebrate that. One of the things that we know from the research as educators is that it doesn't matter what language you're reading to your child in, it matters that you're reading to them and helping build that vocabulary. And so our Midpoint Library has taken up the idea of doing that. One of the other things that they've done is really partnered with us, helping to get library cards for our homeless students. So in order to get a library card, you have to have an address in our community. And so helping to be able to say, you know what, let's write you a note, let's mail it to the address you're staying at. That gives you an address that we will accept to be able to get you a library card. And what that does is that opens up all of the materials at the library that are free for their use. It opens up any language materials that they might need, whether it be Spanish or Arabic or anything like that, to be able to access. But it also, for some of our families, it gives them a sense of comfort of things that in their country, it may be hundreds of dollars. Libraries aren't free in their country. It may be hundreds of dollars to check out. And the gift of ours is that it's free. And you can use it for a couple of weeks, gain that knowledge, give it back, get something new. So I think that's a huge success in connecting our families to that resource. The other thing that they were really helpful with is one of our junior highs did a global issues presentation this last week. For these students, they're ESL students. And one of the things that is part of their standards is that they have to be able to present orally, and they have to do that in English. And what they present on for global issues, you know, water quality, air pollution, things like that, is all then put into a book. Well, as we started talking about this, one of the things that we talked about was the idea that if you write a book, you have a book signing, you're an author. So the library went through and they took, with permission, then the teacher then sent photos of every child. And the library put the title of their part of the book on there. And those were posted on the wall for the event with their topic. They did their book signing of the book, and then the parents were able to take that home with them. The library did all of that for free, that just as another way of helping our students feel not only empowered in what they were doing for learning, but empowered in what they were doing for speaking. And I think that, you know, again, when you think about speaking in any language, some of us are more comfortable to speak to others, and we kind of hem and haw. And so having these kids be able to do that and be celebrated, not only for doing it in a language, not their primary language, but to be celebrated for that was a really great success too. Next on here, again, looking at our partnership success, we just finished up the last of a 3-week parent series in partnership with C3. And we have had on average from 25 to 35 parents each week turn in to hear about some of the cyber safety opportunities in protecting their children, of what they're accessing, some of the different resources out there to be able to help make good choices on where to look to see if an app is really safe, or what the, for lack of a better word, what the holes are that somebody might exploit to be able to gain access to a student, and being able to help learn what those are and be able to evaluate, you know what, this is not an app I want. Or even to the idea of our kids that are gaming, do you allow them to game with headphones on because it's really distracting to you? Or do you ask them to keep the headphones off because that communication is allowed, and who might really be on that game system and for you to be able to hear? So different tips and tricks for parents to really understand what was going on. Then neighborhood bridges, we continue to make a difference in our children's lives in partnering with neighborhood bridges. That we've done this year alone over $40,000 worth of donations in helping everything from basic needs to a car again. You know, so we've been able to do 2 different cars, which is pretty darn exciting. So neighborhood bridges is definitely continuing to be a big success.
And those are all donations.
Those are all donations to neighborhood bridges. Yep. But all our community members and all of that stays in our community. Probably the next thing is our partnership with Boys and Girls Club and Edge Teen Center. 2 years ago, we approached them because we were still during the pandemic and not able to have people come into buildings and things like that. And so partnering with them, with Katie Bauer, who heads up our workforce innovation and internships and things like that. And we went to them and said, okay, here's what we're thinking and how we'd like to do that. Because then the other thing it does is with Boys and Girls Club, they take junior high students, and our ability to kind of build the knowledge so that by the time they get to that sophomore year and they're thinking about applying to it for their junior year, they've had some knowledge, they've had some presentations, they know what it is. And she has seen an increase in the number of students applying. So both Edge and Boys and Girls Club took that over, and our Workforce Wednesdays have been incredible in both locations. That we really didn't have any parameters per se on what they were doing, and each one of them has made it their own. Boys and Girls Club has done an awful lot of different people in the community with different roles. Edge Teen Center has had somebody from the banking industry come and do like 3 weeks in a row of that financial literacy piece of it and helping. So a variety of different things, but looking at that Workforce Wednesday. So, you know, again, helping our kids be future ready, but also ready for what's going to come to them in high school. Next thing with Boys and Girls Club and specifically is for our CARES community. We partnered with CARES and we did a community conversation with a variety of partners, maybe about a month ago, with the idea of looking at, since the pandemic, many of our families that have students with special needs don't have an opportunity for any of those after school extracurricular activities that may be more tailored to a child who doesn't do well with unstructured time or doesn't do well in big crowds. And so having everybody in the room and really starting to plan that out and what that might look like And then looking at opening up some opportunities at Boys and Girls Clubs so that just like all of their typical peers getting on the bus, going to Boys and Girls Club and having activities, that this is going to be an experience that they're able to participate in as well. Next on here, Ohio Extension Master Gardeners. That's been so much fun. Our Master Gardeners have partnered with one of our gifted intervention specialists over at Ridge and doing some of their gardening planning and things that they didn't even know that was available. They work with our students over at Boys and Girls Club, and they're now working with Indy as well on their courtyard planning. And our Master Gardeners are just people in our community that are really great gardeners, have a lot of knowledge about what's here, and then to be able to encourage our students and help them problem solve of how to handle whatever it is that they want to do. You know, at Indy, drainage issues, things like that, tree roots, you know, how do we do all of that? So our Master Gardener, and again, OSU Extension, that's all a free service. Obviously, Reach Out Lakota. One of the things with Reach Out Lakota this year that I did was at the back to school day, then made sure that I was available to our families to be able to help with both lunch applications and or the fee waivers. And from that, almost 100 students were covered for lunches and 126 for fee waivers to be able to be done right at the start of school so that there was not even an interruption in service. So Kelly, like you asked about the impact of the change of the USDA to provide free breakfast and lunch to everybody, to going back to those income qualifications. Right off the bat, we were able to start more than 100 kids that were not already qualified through state programming. Next thing on here, ESL field trip to Miami University, Hamilton. And this was the first time we did it with a translator. And the difference for our students is that I have an appointment next week with a translator and 3 students to be able to then pursue the process for them to get enrolled. Our children were able to ask questions, not only to see students that look like them, but Dr. Bernice Hamilton is the Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion and Innovation for the regional campuses. She and her team welcomed the kids in, you know, gave them a tour, let them see students already in there of how comfortable and at home they felt, and just really built on that for them. And the follow-up is every kid that went got a postcard 2 days later, thanks for coming. And they got it in their language. Literally, they got postcards last week. Hey, we're looking forward to being able to have a time to talk with you. 3 of the kids said, Miss Leah, we'd like to go back. Terrific. And when you look at the gift in our community, I have to say, I didn't know, and I've been here a while. At the regional campuses for Miami, they offer 42 undergraduate degrees. And the difference is it's $3,700 a semester. And when they are complete, they still get the Miami Oxford diploma. So
Should be mandatory that every child started. Branch campus.
Yeah.
we've had 2 successful gifted nights with Leeds, one in the fall, one in the spring. And being able to host that with the Wonder Bus as well. And one of the things about the Wonder Bus that we got it the day before we closed down for COVID. So the Wonder Bus has been up and running. We utilized it a little bit in the summer as we got it running. It's been sitting for 2.5 years, but it is up and running and used regularly now. And our students love it. But the idea of having it at some of these parent engagement opportunities is also to show that a lot of the materials on there are things that we have at home. It's the Legos, it's some of the building blocks and things like that. It's the paper but it's also then the innovation of what to do with it. Can you build me something that flies? What does that look like? You know, can you do a musical instrument? What does that look like? So that it's also something that it doesn't require a lot of skill necessarily as much as that creativity. And if you're sitting there getting dinner ready and you put a plop of Legos on the table while you're doing something, that child could be fully interactive with you and talking about what they're doing. But also that is future math and science. That is future engineering. That is all of that. And it's pretty language rich. Why'd you do that? What did you do? So again, looking at that, and with our Wonder Bus, it is fully accessible too. We do have a lift, so whether it is our children getting onto it that need that mobility support, or it's our adults getting onto it to be with them, nobody is excluded.
Do you think you could wrap this up in like 5 more minutes?
Excuse me, we
I
have,
stepped on.
Well, I know, but I would like to ask some questions and continue.
You'll have some time to ask questions. Please.
I have more.
I
So
think it's done intentionally.
Oh, my God.
I really take a lot of pride in the work I do and what we do with our families. So I'm going to continue on with this. The next thing I have on here is our Purple Star status. As we, again, were able to receive Purple Star status for Lakota East High School, we hosted our military commitment ceremony 2 weeks ago. And with that had a Lakota grad, and probably one of the key things about that is also that we were able to have a chaplain be part of the ceremony that did the benediction. That chaplain is retired now, but he has served in 3 different branches of the military. So his ability not only to speak to the students, but also to the families of what that experience may look like, and to be able to cover that. We also, looking at our military families, one of the things that we set as a goal and we now have in place is through the enrollment center. We do have the ability now to look at all of our families that are military connected with active service. And the reason that that's important is that typically a student with military connection moves somewhere between 9 and 11 things in their educational career because of that military service. So it's also our ability not only to step in to know that this is a child, not just that's moved in, but has had potentially more moves, may have some interrupted learning based on where they moved from, and may be pretty hesitant to connect because I'm going to be gone in 2 years anyway. What's the point? You know, that they may have hit that point too, especially when you look at our high schoolers. Next on here is our citizenship ceremony that we did for 71 people, including a Lakota staff member. This is something that we were able to bring back, and we will now be doing as an annual event. Previously, when we've done it at times where we were able to support a Lakota family doing it, or that we were able to support a Lakota staff member. And so the idea that we can do this, one of the things that we did is we brought all of our ESL students at that building to be able to participate as well, because it was one of the interesting questions that I got from one of the students was, how come that in England that they had to get citizenship, they speak English? And so, you know, helping them to understand that that's not just how you consider yourself to be part of a country. The last thing I have on here is our foster grandparent program through AmeriCorps. AmeriCorps has been supporting the foster grandparent program in Hamilton County for 40 some odd years. This year they brought it to Butler County. And so when it came to me, it came too late to really integrate into our school year this year. But with that, the foster grandparent program, I took them out to Boys and Girls Club and to Edge Teen Center. So they'll be starting with them, running through the summer to be those mentors, to be, you know, that availability to help with some literacy with our Faith Alliance summer reading, and with the lunch application and opportunities for our kids, just to be able to have that many more adults be ready and able to support in our literacy initiatives, because our children that are doing Faith Alliance literacy, a lot of these students are kids that we really don't want that summer slide to happen. These are kids that we want to make sure they're holding or growing so that they are not at risk for the 3rd grade reading guarantee. And that pretty much covers what I've been doing this year.
Mr. Kern, do you have anything else before I open the floor for questions? All right, the floor is open for questions.
Can you re-say the doctor that you used for the ASL or that was implementing the DEI?
ESL, that's Dr. Benise Hamilton. Benise Hamilton.
And then do we contract with this person, or is she volunteer basis?
No, this was at Miami University. She had nothing to do with that.
she has nothing to do with Lakota.
We
So
went
why
on
are we mentioning that then?
That we partnered.
That was who we
Okay.
partnered with to go
Linda.
take our students to go
Okay,
tour.
so
Manhattan.
she did partner with our students.
And she will be part of the team when we go take our students next week to be able to help them with enrollment and be able to
Enrollment into
support.
college. in
Yes.
the classes.
Yes,
And why did you mention the DEI? That,
that's her job title.
DEI, okay. All right, thank you. Aisha, is it Aisha or Alicia? Aisha. Can you tell me why you support BLM?
I'm sorry.
Can you tell me why you support Black Lives Matter?
This is our conversation.
Diversity, equity, and inclusion.
That's
I
her
mean,
personal, I don't think that's personal
Well,
questions.
that is a terrorist group, so.
Please.
Can you give me your definition of critical race theory?
Mrs. Bodie, I'm not sure that this is relevant.
This
to
is,
the
it
conversation
absolutely
we're having
is.
right
She
now.
just, she is in charge of our kids, and she posted that
Can we
she
talk
is
about
a
you?
proud. She reposted proud of our first group of Lakota educators in our CRT cohort. So what is critical race theory? Do you know what that is? Oh, so no explanation.
CRT cohort means.
Why
it
are
doesn't
you-
mean CRT.
Do you have further questions?
So she's not gonna answer.
Did you want to?
You're not gonna answer?
If you want me to, I will.
I'm asking you what CRT means.
And the way that was used in that post, what CRT means in that post.
I don't even know what she's talking about.
That's our
Class you taught.
cohort.
Yeah, our teacher cohort.
Oh, okay. Well, what it is, you know, you said I work with our kids. I do. I'm a teacher.
Unfortunately.
People adjourn, the personal attacks continue.
This is-
Respect, please,
Aisha, she doesn't deserve it.
please.
Can you tell me what conversations around race look like?
Okay.
Do you have questions relevant? to the
Yes,
report that
she's
we got
posted
today?
that they have conversations around race. What does that look like?
Oh, you know what? Because we have a lot of different races in this school. And we want people to feel welcome. Okay?
And I think I can really go along with that.
I actually, Alicia.
Her name is Aisha.
Sorry.
But anyway, why that's important is because last week when we did our junior high engagement, one of the things we did as a new initiative was to be able to model it similar to the UN, so that we had translators to be able to support those parents, so that that child stood up and spoke in English. An individual
That
translator
wasn't
did.
my question.
I'm
Mrs.
going to
Bodie,
finish my sentence.
Please let her continue.
Instead of going along with that, then with those translators, that parent was able to sit there, listen as the translator spoke for those students. Where it becomes important is that, to go with your question, is that as a parent was checking in, when asked, you know, do you need any support in any of the languages that we had translators available? She said, no, I speak English. She said, but you probably don't have my language. Her language is Twi. And I said, you know what? We don't have Twi, but we do have French. And she said, oh, you have French? Well, I still don't need English. I only need English. Ultimately, she moved over to connect with the families that the French translator was there speaking with, because they were from similar areas, and then they had their own conversation. Race is really important because it also recognizes that we are better together. And this parent was able to celebrate that in a language that all of them spoke, even though that was not
I'm not
necessarily one
talking
of their
about
language.
language, I'm talking about race.
That has
This is-
everything to do with
That's totally
our
different.
professionalism
Thank you.
in our schools.
Mr. D, did you have something to say?
I'm not done yet. I'm not getting answers to my questions.
Those questions aren't respectful.
Yes, they
They're
are.
not relevant.
They're not
They
professional
are.
to
You're
our
the
environment.
DEI. So what they're saying that you're having Lakota champions, you're having conversations with them, speaking about race. What do those conversations look like?
I just told you.
And I gave you the
No, you
example of it.
didn't.
It is.
No, you did not.
It is.
What evidence
inclusivity.
do you have that Lakota's performance has increased with the DEI program?
Our enrollment stats tell you that right off the
The
start.
grades, there is none. The grades is not.
The
Answer.
enrollment
Question,
stats
let
show
them
that right off
answer,
the start.
Darby.
We are now over 40% of a diverse
But our
population
grades have
because
not
we-
improved.
we help
Our
these students.
performance has not improved.
Darby, please let her answer the question.
But it's not, she's not answering the question, she's deflecting.
In
We
a
are going
professional
to
environment,
adjourn
you refer
and
to the
stop the
professional
discussion.
materials.
If you cannot, I apologize. If you cannot allow them, if you want to ask a question, make it respectful, give them the opportunity to answer without interruption.
Well, it's obvious that the DEI program is not as active and useful as Ms. Aguilera. She does a lot. She had a whole list of things that
Aguilar.
It's accurate.
Aguilar, that she has completed, whereas you two just kind of sit there and you have a book study. You have a book study.
We're going to move
Yeah,
on.
no, you have a book study. You have not given us any programs, no agendas. You hide your information. You're not productive in the community. I don't understand what is the benefit of
This
this
is
organization.
Out of order with the comments, completely out of order.
Well, there's
with the
nothing to
comments.
prove it's been
We're
successful.
going to move on.
It's a waste of money.
Put your
It's our
questions
grades
in
are
writing.
going down. You can't even provide what problem
Put
you were
your
supposed
comments.
to fix.
We're trying to get you answers.
President,
I've gotten no
Talk-
answers.
talk to my kids. Talk to my parents. That's why I'm successful. I'm here for kids. I'm not here for all this mess you're here for.
The
I am
district
here
grades
for
have not
kids.
improved.
I can't, I'm not saying they have, but that's a lot of different reasons.
They're not-
But I am about these kids. I have been here for 15 years in this district, and you want to come here and tell me these things when I've helped kids over and over and over. You will not attack my people and you will not attack me.
Who's your people, Elton?
Right here. These are my team.
That work for him. All I know
Can we
is that
continue with
Elton,
the
you
professional
spent your time at Lakota
Yeah.
pushing racist ideologies.
Fun.
I have never heard you acknowledge it,
Move on.
and I assume you're gonna continue wherever you go, and I don't.
5-minute recess.
Let him do his question.
Yes.
Let him do his question. Was I talking about that? Go ahead.
Do I have the floor now?
You have the floor.
Okay,
And then Mrs. Casper and Mrs. Shaver.
thank you. Thank you for all the presentations you made. I think this is the request I made. If you remember the last meeting, December 5th, I made that request and I said, and I read what we have here. Mr. Adi reviewed the data points from the prior meeting. Mr. Adi encouraged the team to show the community the impact of this program
I heard.
and opportunities for the community involvement. That was my request.
I'm glad.
Because-
to help.
I know prior to today's meeting, I know the first meeting I had, I was in Nigeria. And I know the kind of questions I asked. And I meant it, and I never regret it. When I came back, I had a meeting with you and we spoke. You were there, Mr. Bogoma was there. Because the impression the community has is different. I wanted to come in and dig deeper to see what this department is all about. So from what you brought out today, this is all we need to do in our meetings. The community need to know what programs you're doing, the impacts it's having. Now, I say this to say that if you talk about diversity, I'm grateful that I'm in a community that did not, that welcome diversity. Because I was born 50 years ago in Nigeria. You have seen me sitting right here. Under every circumstance, I'm not qualified to sit right here and do what I'm doing. So I now, from the fact that I was trusted and allowed to sit here, being different, the way I speak, the way I act, the way I appear, not necessarily Black African American. I was born in America, but I was born overseas, and I was welcomed, means that I benefited from diversity in this community and in the world. So, and that is why I wanted to know more about diversity. And from what you brought forward, I love it. But I want everybody to know and let it go on record, people to know that diversity is not only about race, because all that is out there is race. It's female, male, race, thought, reasoning. military families. Did you know? I didn't know that before. Military families, okay? Income, language. By the way, I speak 5 languages. I'm not dumb. 5 languages. So when I'm speaking, some of the languages are trying to, come in. So that's why maybe sometimes my English might not come out the way you want it, is because other languages are trying to come in. Anyway, we talk about
We never quite know what's coming out.
gifted kids, talk about special need kids, etc., etc., etc. So all we want to continue to do is more of educating the community about what DEI stands for. And America, whether we like it or not, every day, hundreds of thousands, every month, hundreds of people are moving to this country. Whether we like it or not, we have to assimilate. Try to work with everybody, because this place is we're moving forward. So all the ideas that people have out there against DEI could be maybe the way it was operated before, the kind of information that were being brought forward. Maybe we're not as educative as this, and that is why we need to continue to educate the community. What we do. And I say this to there's one need something I'm gonna present quickly. I'm gonna make I'm rounding up. There's a book. I attended a meeting somewhere, and maybe I will need to meet with those people to go over this. But there's one book that was brought forward. It's called Example of Neona Teaching for Foreigners. Maybe you need to, I need to know more about that, because I'm going to be meeting some of the things I found in that meeting, and this is one of my concerns. So it's not for here, it's not for now. So I say that to say that anybody that thinks that diversity and inclusion is about race and inclusion and all that, I think they get it wrong. We have to operate different and let the community know what we're doing. And we need to bring community involvement as well. Raise my case. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. D. This is Casman.
Thank you for your thoroughness on your report. I apologize for the attacks you've been under. It's not right.
We're just
Professional.
questions.
I am speaking. And thank you both for all your work, and continue to do the good work, because again, we are a district of diversity, which means we are not all the same, and people need to learn and be met where they are. This is a great department. The Lakota Office of Diversity and Inclusion is a great department, which will continue long after all of we are gone. Mr. Card, thank you for your years of service to Lakota. We will miss you. We will miss your involvement with everything you do here, and Winston is lucky to have you. We know you started there, so you kind of come full circle.
Again, we can only speak for ourselves and not the board, but on behalf of me, I apologize for how you've been treated again in this meeting and attacking the professionalism. I appreciate that your goal and objective continues to be removing barriers for students to succeed. We talk about academic success, but then we also talk about not wanting to remove barriers to that academic success. And I find that incongruent, and I'm not sure why that continues to be the focus. So thank you for, despite that noise, continuing to focus on making sure all of our kids reach their full potential, regardless of what barriers they may have. Again, Mr. Card, I'm sorry that you did not always get the respect that you have earned with all that you have contributed to Lakota. And I am happy for you on a personal level that you will now be acknowledged and respected in a way that you deserve. with putting your heart and soul into making sure every student succeeds to their full potential. Our loss is definitely Princeton's gain. So thank you. And just to clarify, because while you were speaking, again, many things have been said out of order next to me, but one was that the reason staff wasn't coming here was because the rest of the board needs to be replaced. In those conversations with students, was that the indication that there was a problem with 4 board members and not with 1 board member? And that's why these students were hesitant to want to return to their alma mater and teach?
Yes.
Well, that's probably a good thing because
There-
they've been
there-
indoctrinated through
there
all
was a
of
problem.
this.
Mr. Kern, go ahead. We would like to hear the answer, so.
I think that over the last couple of years, things have changed in this district. And this is not a place that a lot of people would come. I was very blessed when I was the principal of the building to get a lot of people to come here from Princeton, a lot of them, right? Who are really good people that are now principals of high schools and business managers of districts and special ed directors in other districts. Those people now say, "Oof, happy I got out of there." That breaks my heart. This is really, I've been here longer than I've been. My work here, as long as I worked in any district, I worked in 3 districts. And this is the longest I've ever been anywhere. I brought my kids here, I brought my wife here. And now I have to see that. So it's just sad to me. I do appreciate the people that are doing the things that are best for kids. For now, I still live in the district, maybe not for a whole lot longer, but I will. But my daughter still may be here. I'm not sure what we're doing there. So I have a vested interest, but I have a vested interest in this district because there's a lot of kids here I still know, little brothers and sisters of my students. There are families I care about. That is part of why I'm going to care about this place regardless. If I work here, live here, whatever the case may be. I take great pride in my time here. I take great pride in the kids I've helped, the families I've helped. I'm sorry for getting out of character for me, but it gets old. And I've kept it in for a long time. And I appreciate the majority of you doing what you're supposed to do for our kids. Thank you.
Can you finish, Mrs. Schaefer?
I have a.
We haven't spoken yet, so.
I would like to.
No staff member should ever be disrespected by a board member, and I am deeply sorry that happened. And it does not reflect the board or the board's intent and opinion. So I apologize for that. You know, I think it's really important when we're thinking about diversity, and Mrs. Schaefer referenced this to some extent as well. We're talking about barriers to learning if we're talking about kids and diversity. And even families being able to be involved in their child's educational experience. We're talking about barriers to them. And those are the conversations we should be having. That's what matters. It's what keeps a child from being successful in the classroom, what keeps a family from being involved in their child's education. Those are the issues that matter. And I will say further that around a board table, there should be a respect for diversity of thought and opinion. And that should govern every single thing that we do, no matter who's sitting at the table. Mr. Adi referenced his question from the last, is that please show us what are we getting back or what's being put into this. And I would say this almost full page that I have going in here is the return on investment. With all of these different initiatives and programs, you gave us specific numbers, you gave us specific dollars. You were showing us the impact on people and on children. So thank you for that. To me, that is an ROI. And it's across a broad spectrum of diversity, as Isaac referenced. Our military families, our ESL families. The only thing I don't are gifted families. I'm not sure if you mentioned Lakota Cares. But did you mention? So I might have miswriting that down, but across a broad spectrum of our community and the needs that are within our community. So thank you for that. Thank you for informing us and letting us know what's going on. I would love to get your notes in writing, because I probably did miss some things, so if you would forward those to the board, that would be appreciated. Mr. Card, do you have anything further?
The one thing I think I mentioned earlier, but I want to emphasize this, and Mr. B also said this is, and you said it, having conversations with different people is imperative, I think, and being able to be open and honest and without getting upset, which, like I said, I was out of character a little bit. Nobody's probably ever seen me like that in 15 years that I've been here. Maybe a couple kids, but no. So I think we talked, as mentioned earlier, we talked about having some kind of community group that we would have a vast array of people on to have conversations. It needs to be monitored. Somebody has to hold everybody accountable to doing the right things. As you said, we have a very diverse, this district has everything. That's what's great about it. That's why when we moved here in 2003, my 24-year-old daughter who now teaches was going into kindergarten that next year. That's why we moved here, because we saw that. I wanted my kids to have a real life experience. But the only way that I think we can do things is have a conversation with different people at the table, regardless of how you love, how you think, what your politics is, what color you are, all especially any of those things. We'd have different people at the table of all those, because here's the deal. There was a time when I had different thoughts on certain things. And the reason I only learned about things was because I talked to people that were different than me. Whether it was, I'll give a great example. I have a young man who worked with me at Princeton. He worked there with me, and now he works somewhere else. Hispanic gentleman. I never had much experience with Hispanic families when I moved here, where I grew up. Me and a couple of my cousins, and that was it. I mentioned that before. But I learned from him. We sat down and talked. So it taught me how to understand his culture. And there were some times I might have said some stuff that was inappropriate, not on purpose. I was just ignorant to it. Okay. And we all do that from time to time. I had a conversation. I had to meet with some boys yesterday at one of our buildings. There was some racial stuff going on. The principal said, "Can you come over?" I said, "I'll be over." And for me, little mixed race young man and 3 other kids, and we had a great conversation. But I told him, I told that little boy and all of them, I said, if something hurts your feelings, speak on it. But do it respectfully, right? Because when I was a little kid, people want to touch my afro, right? Or I didn't like that. But I just laughed it off because I didn't want to be friends. I don't laugh it off anymore. I'm going to speak on it. Because that's the only way that person learns, and the only way I learn, to have those conversations. So a group like that, the parents, community members, whatever the case, community council would be a great thing to have those conversations. Because you don't know until you have them. You just
Can't
don't.
even communicate what conversations you've had.
You
then.
do not have the floor.
I asked that question.
Well,
Not have the floor.
I asked, what conversations around race, what do they look like? What is critical race there? You can't even answer those.
well, that's not relevant to this.
It is relevant.
I will
You're
say
the
my-
DEI program. That is exactly what that is.
I think this meeting's done.
Mr. Carter, I would like to say thank you for the input you've had on this. Thank you. My 2 boys have gone through with you as their administrator, and they remember you very fondly. I mean, there's so many students to touch, so thank you.
And in fact, my daughter.
I just want to read it out. You can't answer CRT is, you can't communicate conversations, you can't. That's beneficial.